Hi, welcome. I have a book haul for you, but there are 70 books. It's a lot of books. And so I'm trying to decide the best way to do this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a couple from each genre. Maybe I'll just share a couple that I'm really interested in that stood out to me. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to share maybe 20. Probably not. I'm going to share like maybe 10 that I'm really excited about because I haven't read them yet, which is why I'm so excited about them. So I'm not going to put them on my classroom shelf until I've read those ones, I think. But that's how I end up with so many books like this. Okay, let's do this. Let's go with my top 10 that I'm going to share. Ready? Let's go. The first book is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Rosemary, Valero O'Connell. I have heard so many great things about this book. I have been itching to get my hands on this, and I'm so glad that it was one that I did. So Laura keeps breaking up with Freddie. She can't understand why. They get back together. They break up again. She goes to visit this mystic who gives her these answers that are obviously not satisfying, and she realizes that things are going to only get worse. But supposedly it's a really sweet story and it's just young love and it's a graphic novel. Graphic novels are not something that I normally turn to, so I don't know why this is something that has stood out to me for so long and I've wanted to get my hands on a copy of it, but I cannot wait to read it. Up next is Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw. This has stood out to me because of the cover. I am such a judge a book by a cover kind of person. But look at this. Look at this gorgeous cover. Nora and the women in her family have been known to have this special connection with the woods. She's rumored to be a witch. Nora ends up finding Oliver, who was attending a local camp in the woods weeks after he's disappeared. He should be dead, but he's alive. But Nora feels really uneasy around Oliver. Something has happened. There's some kind of fairy tale tension there. Turns out he was not the only one that went missing all those weeks ago. So it's a mystery with a little bit of fantasy, maybe magical realism. I'm not really sure. From the Desk of Zoe Washington is one that I have wanted for a long time. It is by Janae Marks. It is a story of Zoe. She has never met her father. He's in jail for a crime that he says that he did not commit. She writes letters to him. She's trying to investigate to figure out whether or not he really did commit the crime. While all of that is going on, she ends up auditioning for this baking show, becomes a top baker, and now she's trying to balance investigating her dad's crime and trying to win this baking show competition. So I'm sure that something will happen, hopefully not when she's on the baking show. Nick Stone is a Queen. This is a middle grade book. I am so excited to read it. It's called Clean Getaway. Scoob and his grandma take an unplanned vacation. They get into an RV and they just leave. She is constantly changing the license plates and avoiding his dad's voicemails and stuff. So something has happened and they're on the run. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I feel like this is going to be a really entertaining read. Another book that I think is going to be really entertaining is The Disasters. I don't have enough science fiction stuff. I would like to read more of it, but I always am hesitant about finding the right science fiction book. I feel like it's a really weird niche of science fiction that I like. This one looks like it's going to be hysterical. Space is hard, grab a helmet. Max is this hotshot pilot and he ends up getting kicked out of the academy not even 24 hours after being there. So after he gets kicked out, there is a terrorist attack on the academy where they were attending. It becomes this ragtag group of kids who end up saving the planet. I listened to Charming as a Verb and I really wanted to read another book by Ben Philippe. This just happens to be his first book, The Field Guide of the North American Teenager. Norris is the main character. He's Black, French-Canadian. He's smart. He's cynical. He and his family moved to Austin, Texas, and he thinks that this is just an absolute disaster. When he gets to the high school, he starts cataloging the different cliques and groups of people. He starts to make friends with some of them, but then the night of prom, things go terribly wrong. If this is as funny as Charming as a Verb was, this is probably going to be one of my tops for 2021. I already think the 5 feet apart is going to make me cry. Stella has a lot of medical issues with her lungs. She has to stay 6 feet away from everybody at all times. Will is another patient at the hospital. He is often going through clinical tests and he's like done. He's about to turn 18. He's so tired of the hospital. He's going to check himself out and be gone. But then he meets Stella, and then I think that they fall in love, and like having to stay 6 feet apart is unacceptable. So they make it 5 feet apart. And I just think that this book is gonna tear me apart. Based on any other medical, I love you, I can't be with you kind of book, I'm gonna be a wreck. I'm super excited about Jewel Parker Rhodes' book. I use Ghost Boys as one of my social justice book club books already. I think I want to add this one as well. This reminds me of All American Boys, but a middle school level of the same kind of concept where a black boy has been accused of some crime. He joins a youth center, he meets a white Olympic fencer, and it carefully examines the school to prison pipeline and racism found throughout our country. I am not a huge zombie person, but this book looks amazing. I have had my eye on this for quite a while. It is Dreadnation by Justina Ireland. Basically, kids are learning after the Civil War how to put down the dead. There's conspiracies, politics, there's zombies. I don't know, I just think this is going to be such a badass book. Book number 10, Honor Among Thieves. This is another science fiction book. I'm trying to push myself to read a little bit more science fiction. Zara is the protagonist. She spent a lot of time in rehab. She decides to stay on Earth, which is called the Zone, instead of going and living on Mars. She commits a crime, but then she ends up getting recruited into the Honors, which is this like Leviathan selected group of humans who are an elite force. Earth is in danger and she uses this opportunity to finally flee, but there's a whole bunch of ominous like secrets and darkness that are surrounding them. The cover is a beautiful cover again. I don't know what to say. I just love beautiful covers. Since I have 70 books, I have a lot of cataloging I have to do, and I think I'm going to bring books in slowly into the room so I can put them on my little new bookshelf as a display and not totally overwhelm kids. Plus, I'm running out of room on my bookshelves. Someone asked the other day how I am managing my classroom library with everything going on. I've been using Classroom Book Source. I'm able to scan the books in my phone and then just add information about them. Kids have their own accounts. They can look through all of the book titles first. And then I am just the hands that go and grab them off the shelf and bring them to them. And then books sit in bins for a whole week before they go back on the shelves. It's worked really well. I'm looking forward to next year when they can just come up and explore the shelves, but still using the same checkout system, because this is like the only thing that has worked for me ever. Paper copies of sign-outs don't work. Google Forms don't work. This has worked for whatever reason. So I'm going to keep doing it. I do label all of my books too with a little circle sticker that is color-coded according to genre. So my entire shelves are genre and then alphabetically by genre. Anyway, I have a lot of cataloging to do, so I'm going to go and organize these and start putting them up into our classroom library.